Welcome to Sequeled, guys. I am James.
My name is Blaise.
This week, I'm going to be talking about Small Soldiers Part 2, the 1998 classic. Thanks for your comment. Appreciate it. Really excited to do this one. This is a VHS that I didn't buy for my collection. This is actually what I've owned since I was a kid.
I was not able to own this as
Oh,
a
really?
kid. Yeah. I think because the kids act like shitheads in this movie, and they're just like, my parents hated any movie as a kid where like the kids acted like shitheads.
Yeah.
So they thought I would be like influenced by it, but I was a shithead regardless. Like the movies didn't change me.
I did rewatch, and man, yeah, the kids are shitheads. Like, these are not kids to look up to or want to be as a child. It does feel like two movies, and I loved it as a kid, but I didn't know who directed it. I was like, oh, this feels like Gremlins while watching. And then as the end credits roll up, I was like, oh, Joe Dante. Makes perfect sense. Made Gremlins. Very kid-friendly movie, but still not necessarily. It's like very horrific. And this movie does feel like two movies. It's geared towards kids. It's meant to sell toys, but damn, it's violent as hell for a kids movie. It's PG-13 and it earns a PG-13 rating. Funny story though, I did have Major Chip Hazard action figure before the movie came out because I was looking so
Like
forward
a big one?
Not a big one, but like, you know, just a normal action figure, like the size of like a double the size of a Star Wars action figure.
I think I have that one.
They were very big.
They had a lot of like Burger King toys, if I remember correctly at the time.
I remember also a funny story. I was collecting them, but Burger King got in trouble when the movie came out that this movie's not for kids. It's violent as heck. So they had to pull them. And I remember trying to get Small Soldier toys, and I got a Mr. Potato Head. And that was because of the complaints towards this movie.
I'm almost positive that happened to me. Like,
No.
I'm pissed.
Like,
I'm having PTSD right now.
Yeah. Dude. It's so weird.
I'm hella having PTSD right now.
You remember this? Because I was like just looking up info, and I read that. I was like, oh my God, that happened to me. I remember this, collecting it as a kid, and I was so disappointed to not get an Archer toy. I did end up liking Archer after seeing the movie. He's geared. Remember in the trailers, he's meant to look like the villain, but he's actually the hero. Yeah. And funny story also, third grade, I went to a Catholic school, and Sister James was my third grade teacher. That was her actual name. And I got in trouble. We were supposed to make our Valentine's Day gift baskets that people drop your Valentine's Day cards on there. And I drew the Small Soldiers on mine, and I got in trouble. She made me rip it up and said that's very violent. And I got in trouble. I got a detention. Yeah. There weren't even guns, but just because they were soldiers, like, I got in trouble.
Well, nowadays kids wouldn't be able to play with like toy guns or soldiers.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. So maybe that, I don't know if it's warranted.
Right.
But it definitely would.
So let's get into my sequel for this movie. It's going to take place in good old 1998 again. I did want to bring it back, but just toys aren't selling nowadays. This would be a good excuse. Like, yeah, I could have tried harder and tried to push toys, making a comeback with this movie. But, though, I feel like with the 80s nostalgia going on with It and Stranger Things, of course, like just anything with kids, like 90s nostalgia is just like a couple years away. Like they're gonna start making movies that take place in the 90s, and everyone's gonna be like, I miss the 90s, even though I didn't grow up in the 90s.
Pokemon cards.
Exactly.
I mean, I like Pokemon cards, but shut the fuck up.
So let's just start it with the Small Soldiers sequel, aka reboot. We're not really gonna bring anyone back except for Jay Moore and David Cross. They'll make a comeback at it towards the end of the movie, and the scene's like climax.
They're the scientists, right?
Yeah, they're the scientists.
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Right. And then also I forgot the name of the actor, Dennis Leary. There we go. Yeah. We don't need to bring him back, but it's just weird seeing them. And rest in peace, Phil Hartman, his final role as an actor. Missed that guy. But he was pretty funny in this movie as well. But it's not going to have the same kid actors. This movie is going to take place in a whole different city. Internet exists in 1998, but news didn't travel as fast. So it's going to take place the same week when everyone's getting these toys. I did rewatch the movie. They don't establish what year or what time of year it takes place. It's going to be the week.
Isn't it like the fall?
You would think so. It does look like the fall, and that works to my play, though. I want it to take place the week of Black Friday.
Oh,
it's gonna.
Was Black Friday like really a thing back then, though?
It was for like Tickle Me Elmo toys and shit. It was still when toys is what people wanted for Black Friday, not like the PS4 or a Roku TV and shit. For like second generation, like Roku TV for $25 that people fight and steal shit at Target from, or from little kids. So it's going to take place. Do you remember good old KB Toys?
Where are you going to find all the hottest toys? On the planet Mars? No! On a mountaintop? Hot we got at KB Toy Stores. It's the place to shop, you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take place.
Dude, okay, real quick, story about KB Toys. Was it always like a mess in there every time you went in? Was it ever like everything was on the shelf like perfectly? It always looked like a tornado hit that shit.
No, everything was on the floor. Like everything's like all displayed perfectly, but like you would see Batman toys, but all that would be on display is like Penguin. Nobody wants Penguin, but like all the other penguins would be all on the floor because everyone was like digging through the back to look for the toy they were looking for, like Batman.
Did you ever find any unboxed toys in KB Toys, like that some other kid clearly opened and like just left there, and then you took it home?
I'll admit there was a time, where like there was I forgot what it was, but it was open. And I was just like, oh, it's already been paid for. It's open, and like
and you just pocketed it.
And I just pocketed it. Like I didn't actually know better. Like I didn't like make an excuse for myself. I actually thought that was the case. Like, oh, it's open. It had to have been paid for. Just some kid left it here. Yeah, I know that's terrible, but
dude, that place is always a mess. It's out of business now, so it's just kind of like
Toys R Us is going down too, just like toys don't sell. So back to the plot. KB Toys is where it's going to take place. I want it to take place like just in a small town Midwest where it's going to be a real big crowd the next day. Coming after seeing Lady Bird not too long ago, I just want like two girls to be the main characters of the movie, just because like I felt like Small Soldiers is a very boy movie. Like I know my sister liked it, but I think it's just because I watched all the time, and she's my sister, so we did play with our action figures together and stuff. So I just want like two main girls to like have like just funny jokes. Like I love the character dynamic relationship between Saoirse Ronan and her best friend and Lady Bird, so I thought like bringing that same quirkiness into Small Soldiers sequel would be awesome. So they're getting ready for Black Friday. They really don't want to be there. Who the hell wants to work at a toy store on Black Friday? It's going to be insane. So they're getting ready on Thanksgiving night for the next morning. And I want it to be like a Dawn of the Dead-esque sequel where they're trapped inside the mall. They have no cell phones, but then like these asshole commando elite like tear up the electricity. They're trying to figure out how to save the shop from getting wrecked and destroyed,
like chopping mall kind
of. Exactly. They figure out how to make some of the other toys come alive. Like there's that cool Bride of Frankenstein scene. I didn't realize it as a kid, but it's the music from Bride of Frankenstein in Small Soldiers when they make those Barbie dolls come alive. We can recreate that, but with some other crazy action figures. You can even throw cameos. I remember that movie Indian in the Cupboard. It was so cool seeing a Darth Vader action figure come to life. Like, why not bring in something like that? Maybe not Darth Vader, but
dude, I heard I've heard recently that Indian in the Cupboard, like that kid's nostrils are huge. The kid that's I've heard that like if you rewatch it, it's hard to watch because his nostrils are like all the shots are like from very low angle, and his nostrils take up like 40% of the frames.
Fun fact,
fun fact about that movie.
Might need to revisit for that reason.
But okay, are the Gorgons coming back? Because I remember as a kid that was always something that made me sad. Was like they sailed away, but I think I was old enough to understand like, dude, they're gonna fucking die. They're gonna run out of batteries.
Right.
Like I was actually really sad at that ending.
They had their happy ending, but it's a whole new.
Was it a happy ending? Because I was sad at that ending. Like it was for me, it was a very existential. Ending. Like I just was like, they're gonna run out of batteries. They're sailing in, like they're not gonna find Gorgon. It doesn't exist. Like because the movie easily says it doesn't exist. There's no way. Like and they just believe that it's like it's kind of actually says a lot about faith and religion if you think about it, because like they think they'll find it, but there's no way it doesn't exist because in reality there's no fucking Gorgon. It's just some shit they made that David Cross made up.
Exactly. But it's a different line though of Gorgonites in this one though. It's not the original ones, unfortunately, because it's a different state, and it'll be like the same figures but just like they have the same mindset. But
got it.
Like I think
they're still gonna look for Gorgon at the end of the movie.
Sorta, yeah.
It should be a parody on the original ending, like they just do it again.
Right. Just do it again. Yeah. Maybe not they're looking for Gorgon, but these ones actually want a happy home or something. Or is that might be a little too much like Toy Story.
Yeah.
Like they could like realize like, oh, we're just fucking toys and shit. Like they're programmed to think a certain way. But the Commando Elite is just so set on destroying shit and blowing shit up and stuff. Throw some George W. Bush like advertisement in there, even though it's 1998. He was still gearing up to be president. I
guess, right? 2000. So yeah, you're right, he was.
So I thought just that would be funny, just them fighting on Black Friday, and then like the movie ends on like Christmas or finally Black Friday. The gates open like it's electricity. They open right at 9 a.m. the next morning, and just all these fucking people rush, and the toys are wreck, and there's just blood all over all the girls. Like not crazy gore, but just like they have blood streaks, and it's like it's just like an end shot of just like them, just like what guys, what do you want and stuff like.
A cool ending, actually, now that I think about it, would be basically like everything's apeshit. There isn't any resolution before 9 a.m. Like basically, Commando Elite has 9 a.m. The gates to the mall opens. Everyone rushes and just starts grabbing every single toy, even if it's unboxed. So like they basically just go bombarded, and people then it's kind of a dark ending. People take home like Chip Hazard and shit,
Ooh,
and
I like that,
and like even if it's unboxed, they don't care. They're like you when you were a kid. They're like, it's free, and they just take every single toy, and then it's just like the end of the movie. The yoga hosers are sitting there covered in blood. Yeah, like
yeah, I dig it. Yeah, I love that ending actually. Yeah. So that's it. That's my sequel to Small Soldiers 2. I think it's a fun time. Just like if you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, please see that movie. And Small Soldiers, even though like it's a forgotten movie, it's still a classic to our generation. I feel like because we grew up with it.
I rewatched it like a couple of months ago and enjoyed it. I honestly feel like this could be a really good sequel, and it would be a cool movie to sequelize and like remake or whatever. Well, not remake. It would be a cool movie to sequelize that has no need to be sequelized whatsoever. Yeah. But like it nails that whole like franchise culture, you know?
Exactly. So this is going to be a weird sequel. This is something that no one has ever seen coming. I don't think anyone's ever asked for it. Maybe people have, but it's a classic, not for the right ways. So it's like the Room level classic. That true. No, not that kind of classic though. Like the Room style classic.
Oh really?
We're gonna go with the
Room 2.
The very ahead of its time. It's definitely like a cult classic, and I feel like it's just a parody on multiple movies. Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls. I don't have it for like, oh, I need a jerk to this movie. It's just like a terrible movie that is just so fucking funny to watch. Yeah,
it's I would say it's up there with The Room, with like one of the best comedies.
But like a lot of people Troopers too, same director. Yeah,
a lot of people think it's unintentional, but I think every single choice in it is so intentional that it goes like full circle.
Yeah,
I'm excited to get into this. I'm not excited to have to rewatch Showgirls, but I might be I'm gonna have to get in the mood for it.
I think it's oddly like 2.5 hours.
It's really long. It's like
2 hours and 11 minutes.
It's so long. It was a trudge finishing it. Like it is enjoyable in a way as long as you understand it. You have to understand it first. It's very hard to get into that mood. Yeah. Anyways, get ready, guys. We're gonna be talking Showgirls 2 next week on Sequeled.